Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of John the PM Podcast, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. Today's episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about leadership. Yeah, leadership on those pieces. Now, we do actually do a formal program that's called the Leadership Challenge. And I can on a future episode, I'll talk a little bit more about that, on those pieces. Most of the time, I really don't like to get into the discussion on leadership and management. You kind of sort of need both, on those areas. Leadership is more seen as more the funner of the two, on those pieces, more enlightening, on that side. It is kind of sort of true that we probably need more leaders than managers. Managers are important, okay? In some areas, you actually need more managers than leaders. So just real quick, what's the difference, or why are managers important? And again, I cannot see you, okay, on those areas, but I ask this question a lot, so I know what the answer is already going to be. How many people here would prefer or would like to have their paychecks delivered on time? Okay. That activity is a pure management responsibility. In other words, managers are there to kind of keep the trains running on time, and and things are being synchronized and so forth. That's a management activity, on those pieces. So I don't want to ever say like management's not important, on that side. Some areas they have a whole bunch of leaders and no one's actually managing, and it's just like chaotic. Like, what are we doing now? What are we doing now? Oh, he's a great leader. He's a great leader. Yeah, but we're not getting anything done. So you kind of need both. But let's come back to leadership. And there's four things I just want to kind of illustrate for today. Believe it or not, I learned it in Ranger School way back in the day, on those areas. And it's just something that's just kind of been calculated into my mind. It's one of those things. Everything that you learned in kindergarten, everything that you learned in kindergarten, kind of one of those basic scenarios. What are the four parts? Take charge, supervise, motivate, communicate. Take charge. You are the alpha. You are responsible for the project. You are hierarchically designated as the leader, project manager, scrum master, team lead, facilitator, whatever you want to call yourself. Hierarchically, you have been given that task, and people look towards you on those pieces. So your first job is to take charge. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you come in like like an alpha, bulldog everybody and all that kind of stuff. But you do by setting the example, using servant leadership, looking towards the cause, setting the example, doing things, being there in the trenches, helping individuals and organizations to do great things. But it all starts from within, and you are going to have to make a decision. Do you want this project to fail or to work? If you want it to work, you are going to have to take charge and manifest yourself into driving this activity home on those areas. So that's take charge. Supervise. Hopefully we do it in a positive way, on those areas. This is not an area where you're kind of like pushing people or pulling them, but you are, arm length with them, and saying, hey, we can do this on this area. But when you do supervise, you do have to give appropriate feedback. You do have to let them know what's happening, give them clear directions that they can understand. Sometimes, and I see this, with in some organizations, they'll have like lofty things on the board, and they're great writing. I am not saying they're not great writing, but the problem is that the people on the floor, they're kind of confused because they don't know what to do now. I mean, like right now on those pieces. So you do have to supervise, motivate. Motivate basically means, in layman's terms, finding their currency. Okay. What I'm about to say, some people will say it's heresy and they'll go like, but I'm going to say it anyway. Money is not the important factor. That's not the currency. Okay. Now, everybody needs to have a fair and equitable salary. I'm not saying that. Okay. So don't take me out of context. But it's not the money, in other words, what people are being paid that's important. It's what the money buys. That is what is important. You as the manager, you as the leader, need to quickly identify what is important to that individual. What is it that they're using in order to do whatever it is that they want to do. Once you know that, then you can motivate them in the proper way on those areas. So, for example, and again, some of this is just stream of conscious, on those areas, you discover that they're using their money in order to buy a house or something of that nature. So, in my mind, that's like security. Okay, security is important to them. After all, you're probably getting a 15, 30-year mortgage. I prefer if you buy it in cash, but sometimes you have to take a mortgage. So you really kind of want to know, is my job secure, on those areas. And if you can provide that comfort level to them, then that can help them out immensely. Other people may be buying a car. Ooh, status symbol. Okay, so if they're really into status symbols, providing them gifts or things of that nature, if they're rewards, trophies and things like that, then that might be something that appeals to them. Let's say they use their money in order to take vacations. Oh, time off, on those areas. So again, as a reward, as opposed to giving them a plaque, give them some time off. On those pieces. Hopefully you kind of see what I'm kind of illustrating with the motivating. Again, in these series, these are just supposed to be highlights on the areas. So we got take charge, supervise, motivate, communicate. Communications is the deliverable until the project is complete. Okay, so you got to let your team know what is happening. Each step of the way, so that they're not blindsided by surprises. There's already going to be surprises. We already know that, but they should not be surprised by something that they should have known about. Okay, so that's what I'm kind of referencing, in that regards. So you always need to have some kind of your communication mechanisms in place so that people can be abreast of what's happening, so that they can adapt their situation to the appropriate scenario as far as what is happening. All right, so that's just a real quick summary, but again, it was just something that came top of mind to me. Take charge, supervise, motivate, communicate on those areas. So, just in closing, if you are looking for more information on how to become a great project manager, don't forget to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to John the PM.